And looks like, yeah, we just got the meeting recording started. So we're changing things up a little bit this year, or for this half of this year, in a way that we are going to focus more on what is it that our members are wanting to know more about? What is it that our members have questions about? The drone industry is constantly growing, and each of our members is at a little bit of a different point in where they're at with integrating and adopting drones into education. So just kind of like based on
anybody got to use the bathroom,
what we have been presenting in the past, we got the ability. And Morgan, if you're able to potentially just mute folks, or anyone who's tuning in and listening right now at this moment, unless you're speaking, if you can just mute yourself, thank you very much. That's appreciated. So instead of us talking at you and saying like, this is what we've seen and this is what's successful, we want to just take the next few months to answer questions and share, right, what our cohort members have found to work, or what questions specifically can we, myself, Jeff, Morgan, members of the NCBC, and even our institutional partners as far as joining the call, like Randy Pyland out of Elon University, and the other folks that we've had speak, what information can they share that's going to help benefit, or not information they can share, but what questions can they answer that could benefit our cohort members. One other thing that we're gonna change up and make a little bit different, and again, in regards to the we're presenting at you, is we're gonna have more of a meeting type of environment. Everybody here is a member of this cohort and is someone that's gonna help continue helping drive this gigantic statewide initiative forward. So we want everyone to feel like this participation and this ability to connect, again, ask questions, get information, and share, that everyone has that opportunity. So instead of running it as a webinar where you just see a few individuals speaking at you, we want this to feel more as a round table of sorts, or at least an open type meeting hall, to where we can share, present, and we're not going to say this is what this has to be about, because things are constantly changing. The points, the main topics that we'll be discussing today, in lieu of also fielding any questions from our current participants, is we want to talk about, we have a schedule of dates moving forward for the rest of the semester. We have US drone soccer, which is something that, we've identified is something that could be integrated into education, and included into some of these programs. And it has a lot of value for the students and the development of the drone industry workforce. So we're going to talk a little about US drone soccer and the possibility to bring that here to North Carolina. And then the tournament, we're going to discuss and just mention that we are going to do another virtual tournament. We had great success last year. We're not recreating the wheel. We're going to be doing that same virtual tournament format again. We're excited to invite the same participants back, and we're hoping to grow our field of competitors and schools that participate. One thing I think that's going to be very helpful is we have educators who've gone through it who are going to help us share and connect with new schools. And then also we have all of our sessions recorded. So those are available right now on our YouTube page. So any teacher that didn't have a chance to participate, all those questions, what is it? Can I do it? Or what do I need? What do I have to have? Is it challenging? Is it not challenging? You're going to be able to go to that YouTube page and just watch our sessions and say, wow, that is amazing. That's not difficult. And I think that's something that I want to help my students participate in. So we're really excited about that. I see Morgan. Thank you so much for putting the schedule up. So the schedule is in the chat. One extreme point of emphasis that I want not the folks that are tuned in now listening, excuse me, but also you can tell I'm not lip syncing right now. So we didn't pre-record this audio. This is my actual voice, my actual speaking voice. Is that what we're creating here is a community that is constantly evolving. Last year, we were thinking more about the live audience. Can we get the live audience? And schedules, I think, were much more open and flexible to where people were just tuning in virtually. People are back to their busy life. And right, who watches things live, right? Our kids do. Our kids are sitting there watching the commercials, right? They have time. All this attention's being taken from them. As adults, we all operate our busy lives. And what do? We find that time in the day when we can pull our attention away from our other, as an educator, those responsibilities on a daily basis. And we watch on-demand shows, or we record what we want to see, right? What are we watching live? Sporting events, right? Most people don't watch those live because they're spoiled by the time they're ending. But we want on-demand content. Go on Hulu, go on Netflix, right? YouTube, the ability to say, I'm free now and this is what I want to engage. It's awesome that we have this live audience, and that's what we want, so we can answer questions live. But do remember that what we're creating here is on-demand content that will be available to you and available to all educators, with beyond the limitations of the state of North Carolina on demand. So when you're able to steal that time and catch up on the latest session, that's what we're excited about. But looking forward into the future, we have February 22nd, and everything's going to be at 3 p.m. for the next 3 sessions. February 22nd, March 22nd, and April 26th. And if I recall correctly, those all might be Tuesdays, or the recurring days of the week, so that we should be putting out that live content on at least a scheduled, regular sort of basis. Jeff, I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity now to talk, because I'm tired of necessarily listening to myself, and I want to organize a little bit better for the next 2 things, the drone soccer and then the tournament. So if I don't want to put you on the spot here, but
everybody does. I'm used to it.
Yeah. Well, everybody go, hey, I'm handing things off here to Jeff now. And then remember, please, anyone who's tuning in, if there's a question that you have in regards to drones, put that right into the chat, because we're going to take this conversation in the direction that you want it to go. And until then, we're just going to continue to present some good content, good information. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Paul, and welcome back, everybody. Happy 2022. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff Epps. I'm the CEO of Stemrel City LLC, and we're I'm a nerd company. What we do is we integrate science, technology, engineering, and mathematics into student learning to raise their achievement in the classroom. That is my passion. I love sitting and listening to educators, finding out what your true challenges are in the classroom, and then, helping you pair a technology that's going to allow you to visualize and make your learning objectives more tangible. So I see that we have a big, diverse group in here. We have some folks that are returning. So, first and foremost, I always tell people, this is a robot that flies and takes pictures. That's what it does, okay? We affectionately call it a drone, but that's what it does. It flies and it takes pictures. But the interesting thing here is that this is not only just a technology lesson, it's a math lesson, it's a science lesson, it's an ELA lesson, it's a career in technology a career technical education tool as well. Because, for example, in Edgecombe County, and I'm sure my good friend, Mr. Joseph Hayes from Edgecombe County, he's on board here today. He'll tell you we've been working with Edgecombe County public schools to integrate drones into their CTE classroom. And how did we do that? Well, we took something that we already knew about, and we took drone delivery, which is what Paul does, and coding, which is what I do, and we work with their CTE teacher to integrate drone technology into the CTE business classroom, right? So, you know, the students are learning, how do you start a drone business? What does it take to start a drone business? But on top of that, we're making it tangible with this flying robot. So, you know, if you're a science teacher, hey, this is forces in motion all day, okay? You could teach an entire series on forces in motion with this little robot. If you're an ELA teacher, you know, when you code this robot to fly around a room, you're essentially writing a story. And you're writing a story that a machine understands. And it has to be written a certain way. The syntax has to be correct, because if not, we all know with computers, it throws us an error, right? So in terms of math, programming this robot, right, to fly distances, that's mathematics all day long. You can teach angles and rotation, arcs, and even plotting with this particular robot. So that's why we chose this technology, because we felt like it will integrate across the curriculum to really make learning fun for students. Now, Paul talked a few minutes ago, about the drone tournament. Well, last year we had a great time doing it, but the whole time afterwards, Paul and I spent our time thinking, how can we make this better? Because honestly, Paul and I gave ourselves a C+. We were like, it was all right, but you know, we want to do, we want it to be over the top. So for those of you that participated last year, we heard what you were saying. I went and purchased these high definition cameras to suspend from the ceiling that will now give you a bird's eye view of the grid. Because last year we kind of had two cameras set up, but the angle was not always that great for students. So now we're incorporating this third camera so that students can actually see the grid from a bird's eye view and make a better determination in terms of how they need to code their drone during the tournament. So, and if there are any other suggestions from those of you who participated last year, keep them coming. Paul and I, we affectionately call ourselves problem solvers. That's what we are. And we just use technology and drones to solve them. So if you have problems, we definitely want to hear it. Now, one of the other things that Paul and I spend our time doing is, what new technologies are out there, or what new strategies or tools are there out there to make integrating and learning this technology a lot easier? Well, if I can get permission, if someone can give me permission to share out, I want to share several sites with our guests. Let's see here. I'm going to put a link in the chat. So if everyone would, if you get an opportunity, please go to that link. And still don't have share properties yet. Hey, Morgan, can someone get me access to share out?
You should have it now. It just said that you're the host now. Did it come through?
Got it. Thank you, ma'am.
Awesome.
Okay, so, which screen did I show it? Let me try this again. Stop sharing. Let's see, share. And I want to share screen too. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, so everyone, hopefully you can see my screen here, and it says Dji Education Hub. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, DJI, who is DJI? They are the people that make this drone. They make your drone, the EDU version, and this drone as well. And you know, there are Chinese
Well,
companies.
it's a robot though, right? Jeff's calling it a drone, and he was trying to tell us in the beginning how it's just a robot. I love it.
It is a robot, Paul. It's nothing but a robot, but I know you affectionately call it a drone, so I try not to hurt your feelings that often, but it's still a robot. Anyway, this DJI makes this drone / robot. How about that, Paul? And the thing is, their foothold in the United States is not as great as they would like for it to be, and they're constantly upgrading this product. Now, prior to using DJI, we're using drone blocks, right? And those of you that have participated in our sessions before, you participated in our competition. This is the platform we used to operate the drone to make it fly around the room for the competition, and we're still going to use it. Okay, it's a great little interface. We use it because it allows us to drag blocks to the screen, right? We can drag and we can tell it to flip forward. We tell it to fly forward. You could tell it to fly backwards, and then you could tell it to land, right? So it's got all these cool little blocks, and then you execute it and the drone goes through the actual steps. And the great thing about it is it forces students to think like a drone pilot. And then the other part that I love about it is you always get this opportunity to show the actual code that's working with it. Now, this right here is a great way to integrate coding into any existing lesson, okay? But this is the interface we currently use, and we will continue to use it. However, I wanted to introduce to everyone the Dji Learning Hub. And if we go back to the website, this is the link I put there. This is an overview of what the Dji Education Hub is about. But now let me go ahead and put a couple of disclaimers out here, okay? Do not buy one of any of these licenses yet, advanced or professional. I've looked at them. They are not 100%, and I've let DJI know. And I've become their worst nightmare on top of that. But anyway, but because they're not quite ready, a lot of the documentation is not in English. And I specifically said to them, there's no way you can send this out in the United States and it's not in English. So use the, you'll go in with just a regular account, but it's right here where you can download it. This will run only on a Windows computer. So you have to have a Windows computer in order to download this, okay? So, and you only need to install it on one computer if you only have one drone, right? So once you download it, you get this file here that needs to be executed and installed. But afterwards,
I'll try,
you actually end up here.
That's true.
Okay. And what I love about this interface is because now we can actually start creating blocks of code to be used in the classroom. And when you create a new block of code, you have your choice because they make this robot as well, but you just simply choose the drone, give it a name, and then it takes you into an interface that looks like this one. Now, let me tell you why I love this interface, because it brings a new set of commands that you cannot get access to in drone blocks, okay? And specifically, what I'm talking about are the mission pads, okay? These mission pads that come with the drone. And these mission pads have numbers on them. And with the Dji Learning Hub, you can actually program the drone to recognize these mission pads very easily. Because without the Dji Learning Hub, there's another way to do it. And let me tell you, it's nothing nice. at all. So I was glad that DJI created an interface that allows us to do this. Now, why would we want to use these, right? Well, the drone has cameras. It has two cameras, one here and one on the bottom, which gives it computer vision. It can see in front of itself and it can see under. Well, with these mission pads, we can place them on the floor around the room and then program the drone to fly around the room. And when it senses one of these mission pads, we can actually have it do something special. Okay, now the term for this is computer vision and artificial intelligence. Okay, let me say that again, computer vision and artificial intelligence. So if you're looking to integrate that type of technology into your classroom, guess what? You have the tool to do it with this drone and this interface. Now, what we did with some of our customers, especially our customers, for example, out in Caswell County, we had them place the mission pads around the room to simulate drone delivery. And each pad became a drop-off part, a delivery point. So we programmed the drone to fly around the room, sensing these mission pads. And when it would sense it, it would land as if to make a delivery. It would land for so many seconds, then take back off and fly to the next delivery point. So it sort of mimics what Paul does with drone delivery, and we're bringing that experience to the classroom. So real quick here, I just wanted to show you how easy it is to implement, because in drone blocks, as you can see, there are no blocks that allow you to enable computer vision, and that's fine. There's no worries with that. But with the Learning Hub, it's already built in, and you see there's a section here labeled mission pad, and here are the blocks that we need to actually enable the mission pads and have the drone sense the mission pads and act accordingly. So this is really good news for us, because it now allows us to really explore and expand the capabilities of this new drone. So those of you that currently have drones, if you're interested in getting this set up, let me know. I'll be more than happy to connect with you one-on-one via Zoom or something like that, help you get it installed, make sure it works. And as always, if you have an idea about how you would like to use this drone in your classroom, that's what Paul and I are here for, because the more and more your students use it on a daily basis, the better equipped they will be for that tournament, okay? Let's see if there are any questions real quick. Yes, Matthew, MBOT is another platform that you could use as well. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of downloading that right now to see how that works. So if you can provide any feedback, or for example, even if you want to do a quick session for our audience in one of our follow-up sessions, Paul and I would welcome that a great deal. Okay, and Ellen says, what if you did not get the mission pads? Paul and I will get with you on that, Ellen, to ensure that you do, because that's a very important part.
And
Yeah,
I did
he already addressed it for us, so we're good.
Oh, well, how about him?
that was like following up in the chat there, letting folks know. And then I think one important thing, and Morgan, I'll probably shoot an email as a reminder, is when we put the link out after this call to the recording, one thing that we'll put in there is information reminding anyone that didn't get the mission pads, because early on, as we were building out the cohort, there was some drones only that got sent. There was some drones with the mission pads that had been sent as well. So there was like a handful of people. We weren't actively using the mission pads at this time, but for anyone watching now or watching the recording, you can shoot an email to Paul Rossi at 910drones.com in order to get the mission pad sent out to you. And I
Perfect.
people are
Perfect.
definitely getting the message because the inbox is blowing up. So
Well, I see as well, Joseph asked the question, would students be able to use Java? Hey, Joseph, you can, I believe, Drum Blocks uses Java. Guess what? The Dji Learning Hub uses Python. Yes, Python, the language that the most popular computer programming language on the planet and used by IT professionals all over the place. And I've been playing with that as well. And what I love about it is you can take this block of code that I had up here and then view the Python version of it. So what I'm working on right now is lessons that, students, you show them a block of Python code without the blocks. And then they have to actually key that in to gain better understanding of the Python language and the syntax. And Ellen, you're very welcome, Ellen. And let me address what Ellen just said. She says, thanks for being willing to meet with us one-on-one. That really helps. And Paul and I talk about this all the time. That we are going to have to make ourselves available to you because, your availability, especially now in these times, is not always as great as it used to be. So, if you need a one-on-one session, you can reach out to Paul, myself, or even Morgan, and we will get this, we'll get this set up for you so that we can make sure that you get what you need in the time that you need it. So let me do this while I'm going to go ahead and put my email here. And city.com. So if there's anything that we can do for you, please let us know. We're always willing to sit and talk with you about how you want to use this in your classroom. And hey, I'll always say this as well. Funding is funding. You're never going to have enough of it. So if funding is what's holding you back from implementing this into your school, let's explore some grants. Let's explore opportunities for funding to really expand what you're doing. We've got the summer coming up. So, there's always opportunities for summer camps and things like that. So any way we can help, we're willing to do. All right, Mr. Rossi, back at you.
Like a great transition. Funding. Hand it back over to you now, Paul.
Paul's got tons of money. By the way, Paul has tons of money. So
in this segment of the NCEUAS January 2022 session, we will be showing you where the funds are. No, maybe we should do that. But that's what those individual one-on-one sessions are for. So seriously, if folks are like unsure, need to get creative, like that is what Jeff does really, really well. Especially with the work on the nonprofit side. And there's a lot of things too that I think we have happening outside of like that, not necessarily the NCEUAS is tied to, but opportunities that we might have for educators with the other stuff that we're doing. So we're always looking for folks to help us just make things happen. And I do want to cover one of the last questions that Matthew Hillen had. And that was, does 910 Drones sell the TT upgrade kit? And what Matt is talking about is for our cohort members, our original cohort members, the 60 that we sent the Tello drones out to, since that they've introduced the new Tello. Is that what you were holding, Jeff? Do you have it with the sensor so you could show it? So the newest, yeah, so the newest Tello that they released has some new educational features built into it. So what you're looking at right there is a 10 by 10 light grid, which is programmable. Excuse me. So the ability to go in there and code that and have it do different lights. You can simulate drone light shows. There is a obstacle sensor. There's a small low megapixel camera that's integrated for obstacle awareness, recognition, and communication. They're also going to allow, you're good, Jeff, you don't have to I keep pulling it. And they're also going to integrate additional sensors, and much like the microbits and the Arduinos and those other, little microprocessors, the ability to integrate maybe like an air quality sensor, or maybe some sort of wind sensor, or atmospheric sensor. What that does is it allows this drone to become even more effective of a tool in the school classroom. So I'm like using way too many words right now. That's why I stopped talking originally. But yes, 910 drones can help any teacher that has a standard Tello EDU that is looking to upgrade that platform to a TT version. There's a kit that is available. It's right around $100, $109. So you can reach out, again, same email, reach out to 910 drones, and we can help you understand how to upgrade your current drones, or look into getting some of the Tello talents, the TTs themselves. So transitioning from that, there was something I thought I was going to say about the Tello talent, or the RoboMaster, the funding, blah, blah, blah. Maybe not. Maybe I'll think of it. But what we can pivot to now is a little bit different, and something completely new, something that no one in the state of North Carolina is doing. Much like, if you think about what we introduced over a year ago was, remote piloting, right? COVID, everyone was in this period of remote learning. I don't think when we launched that, I don't even know, asynchronous, that word's probably been around, but there was everything was remote, and we were learning how to keep this drone momentum, this UAV momentum going, even though students were in the classroom. That's when Jeff and this remote piloting happened, and it just gained this momentum, and it helped us understand that we could transition and pivot and continue to do things. So we were working with the Tellos. We figured out this tournament. We introduced something that just wasn't being done. And now at this point, that's where, like, hey, let's get out of our own way. We've introduced the Tellos, the drone blocks, right? The Python, the coding, the drag and drop. We want you guys to consume that content and tell us what are you being challenged with, right? What's difficult? What do you need help with? What do you need support with? And we're here to help. And we're going to continue to present these little things along the way. But now we're going to pivot to something that's like completely different. And it's kind of like the RoboMaster, Jeff. So I do have to point out there, and I apologize for cutting you off earlier and killing your momentum. I'm working on that, right? The 4 agreements. So sidebar right now, I think Tom Brady retired. I'm a huge Patriots fan, being from Connecticut. I know. But I watched on ESPN, he had the Man in the Arena. And if you don't know Man in the Arena, you're right, great quote. I think that was Theodore. I'm not even going to say it. I think that's who it was. So anyway, keeping on topic here. I totally just forgot what I was going to say. Man in the Arena. Oh, one of the things Tom Brady mentioned was this book called The 4 Agreements. It's short, it's on Audible. But if you haven't heard of that or seen it or familiar with it, because I think that's something I also want to do and haven't even mentioned to Jeff or Morgan, is like, this is great about drones, but at the end of the day, we're all people. And if there's a way to even take a minute or 2 minutes to talk about something that may not be specifically related to drones to help people develop themselves professionally, I think is important. And the reason I say that is because I'm helping operate a drone delivery company where we're developing young leaders. And it's as important to help them understand drones and technology as it is to help them understand like people and how to be a better leader. But the 4 Agreements is a book about 4 agreements you can make with yourself, how to unwrite agreements that you may or may not have written in your past that you don't like. And one of it is about being impeccable with your word. I don't know how that ties into drones. And like I just said, I don't think it's supposed to. But check out the 4 agreements. It's like a 4-hour Audible book on Audible. So it's something to worth looking at. But what it is when I was talking about the RoboMaster TT, Jeff was reluctant about this, and you can, be impeccable with your word. That's what it was. When I cut you off, I was not being impeccable with my word, Jeff. And I apologize for that. So
You're welcome. You're welcome, Paul.
yes, learning. See, constantly learning. That's why I love doing these things. It's because I learn as much about myself as I think I help others learn. So bring it back, Paul. Cut you off. Oh, the RoboMaster TT is like, Jeff wasn't 100% on board with the RoboMaster TT. And I think part of it was having to put it together and the complexity. And like he said, it first came over here, everything was like literally Chinese, and now things have changed. And he sees the value in it. And I'm trying to drag Jeff, and maybe that's not the right word, into drone soccer. So here we go. We're pivoting and transitioning. I'm going to share my screen. So I think you might need to make me the host now, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Let's see here. Let's see, Paul Rossi. Let's see if I have the, yep, make host. You are now the host, sir.
Thank you. Boom. All right. So things change really. Open. Oh, wow. This is, here we go. Hope this works. Oh, here we go. So things change fast, right? And when I looked at this website last had the conversation, it wasn't like, when you first go to this website, it didn't look like a huge, like a sales thing, like limited pre-sale drive now. So I'm just seeing this as we're speaking. So don't think this is anything to do with the sales pitch, right? Things change fast. But what you're looking at right here is United States drone soccer. I am not the founder of this. I'm not the creator of this. I didn't find and create drone blocks. I didn't find and create the Tello. I just simply saw the value in what those were presenting. And I thought, how do we help educators integrate that into our state, into our schools? I've been sitting back now watching US drone soccer develop for, I could say it for sure, for the last year. And you can see here, CT director for Colorado Springs is talking. So there is been development in this sport, and that's what it is. It is an e-sports, an electronic sport. You don't have to be physically gifted. You don't have to be the fastest kid in the class. You don't have to be the biggest kid in the class. You don't have to have those. It's not about those skills. It's allowing others to compete, be a part of a team, and not just do that, but learn those robotic skills that Jeff was talking about coding, programming, mechanically. These drones that you're seeing fly and operate are drones that have to be manufactured and put together by the students. The students have the ability to take these drones, plug them into the computer, and adjust the parameters, change the max speed, change the lighting, learn everything that not just what it is, but actually doing it. And US drone soccer, as I mentioned, has evolved from just being an idea and a concept to it's now like, I think a lot of folks in education are familiar with Harry Potter and the series of Harry Potter, because at its core, it's about students, right? It's about teachers. It's about what's happening as children grow and develop within this space. And even in the Hogwarts, world of wizardry, there was still sports, and that sport was Quidditch. So I think you guys, you've all seen that video that was just playing, or you haven't. But if you have a chance to go to the website, what we're kind of seeing is like the introduction of Quidditch. And again, I didn't make this up, right? I wish I did. I just see huge opportunity to, just like with the Tello and the RoboMaster and the drone blocks, introduce this to the state of North Carolina and help educators get students not even back excited, but reinvigorate the excitement within education from learning. So you have a 10-foot by 20-foot court, and it's netted in, like you saw in the video. So it's a very safe type of environment, and the goals are up in the air. So just like Harry Potter, Quidditch, one of the drones is trying to score and go into that goal, and the other drones are trying to knock and bulge and bludge and keep that, using the references to Quidditch, like keep that individual for scoring. So team, let me, if the link hasn't been posted, I'm navigating. I have a new Mac computer and I'm still learning how to navigate it. His teams are 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, or 5 versus 5, and that's because of the constraints of the size of the court itself. So the way that this works, it's much like a tennis match or a volleyball match. You have 3 sets in each match, and each set is 3 minutes long, and then in between these sets you have repair times or countdowns where it's 3 to 5 minutes, where you might be changing propellers. So it's kind of like NASCAR in the sense of these are pit stops. So you might have the driver, the students that are really good at piloting the drones, right? So for that 3-minute period, this student is very engaged. Like that is an intense 3 minutes, very similar to a sprinter running a race. Right? You're not going to ask that individual to do something challenging right after they get out of the pool doing a 500 meter or something. So to have pilots that fly and operate drones, and then having technicians, right? Because your team can consist of up to 10 people and maybe 3 or 4 are technicians. So during this 3 to 5 minute time, you get the drones back in order. And this is a really exciting team aspect that we don't see in the classroom environment, where it's mainly, yeah, the basketball team has a manager and the football team has a manager, but to what degree is that individual really participating in the success of the overall outcome? And when you look at the way this can be broken down, again, I didn't create this. My name is Paul Rossi, and I did not create United States drone soccer. I just happen to recognize what I see as value for educators. And I don't have any, look through this entire website, right? If we look at our team, I've had a conversation with this guy right here, David Roberts. And I just had a conversation with David because I want David to like me, because I want David to do whatever he has to and help us integrate and bring this, something that he co-founded and created, to our state of North Carolina. And I think that based on what we've done with the NCEUAS and laying the foundation for, one, educators that understand the technology, and then students that are excited about the integration and the competition side of it, and not, it's like this is disguised learning, right? Like the students don't even realize it at its finest. So I would love, based on just sharing this information right now, this is all, it's just sharing information saying, hey, this is something we've identified, right? Myself, Jeff, NCBCE, and we're actively learning to understand how do we bring this to the state of North Carolina at the middle school, high school levels. So if there's any one thing Jeff mentioned was funding, and I don't want to like steal funds from ourselves, but it's like, some of our members have the telos and they have these programs going, and they may come across from I don't know where, find the ability to say, hey, this is something we may be in a position to help introduce. Like, our students are ready for this, right? We've paved the way. We have a foundation in place. So if you haven't heard of US Drone Soccer, US company, not necessarily US drones, that's a conversation for, like, I don't know if Randy's still on, we can save that for like the collegiate level workshop or something like that. But this right here is exciting. It's awesome. I really hope that in the coming, year, I have the opportunity to help. And again, this is not something I'm directly affiliated with. I just see immense value in it. And like I've told Jeff, I really want to try my hand at it to see if I would even be any good at drone soccer. And then just to kind of put a final point on this and how we're not that far away from actually playing Quidditch. And I'm not saying you're going to play Quidditch, and I'm not saying that I would play Quidditch, but if you've been with our cohort since the beginning, one of the things that I have discussed is pilotless air taxis and the future of moving people with electric vehicles. So think about, what is Quidditch, right? Flying competition with a ring and a ball. Look at the drones we have, right? Is it that crazy that someone could create a drone that is a Quidditch ball that does its own thing? And are we that far away from, if you Google it, I could show you something that looks just like a Star Wars vehicle that could hover and fly around the air, and it's a little bit bigger than a broom. Now, if I get one of those Red Bull crazy athletes and I put a parachute on their back, would those folks not cruise around at 200 feet throwing balls at rings? I don't know. I think it's going to happen. And I think this is the beginning of it. And I'm excited that we're going to document this and put this on demand as a recording, so that maybe one day we'll go back and we'll be like, that Paul Rossi, remember in January 2022 when he told us he wasn't going to play Quidditch in 10 years, but people were going to be playing Quidditch? Well, he wasn't right. Technically, it took 80 years, but it happened. So yeah, exciting. I see stuff in the chat here. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with US drone soccer, Jeff, or if it's just kind of follow up. But if anyone is the least bit intrigued by drone soccer and kind of what you see here, I'm seeing some people had to jump off, and Randy would be excited about hosting a tournament at Elon to get things up and running. And I see Ellen needed protection from the, use the teller to trim the house plan. Is that what that is? Or he accidentally trimmed?
He accidentally. A perfect example of programming a drone to go in the wrong direction. I actually have a video of it too.
It happens to us all, Ellen. I've done it.
Hey,
that protection thing is pretty cool. Just saying.
That could be, that to me though is innovation. It sounded to me like maybe it was using the drone to try to research how you can, it's like a robotic weed whacker. Like, can we program the drones to go out there and maybe get our hedges for us?
Well, hey, Paul, real quick, I just wanted to let everyone know I put a link out there in the chat. It's from Thingiverse, where you can 3D print things, and apparently someone has already made a protective cover for the Tello. which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna kind of look at this. I'm actually gonna 3D print it and see if it actually fits the Tello. That's the first thing you always have to do. You have to print it. But we'll see how this works. And in our next session, maybe we'll talk about it. But also real quick, as Paul was talking about drone soccer, my mind's always racing and thinking of ideas. You know, drone soccer by itself is a lesson in forces in motion and math. Okay, that in itself, you could utilize drone soccer to teach those specific in those specific areas of the curriculum, because I mean, you got these aerial balls that are hitting each other. I mean, and that's a great science lesson, because if you're in this finite space and your drone can only go so fast and it can only accelerate to a certain speed, what's the maximum amount of force you're going to be able to apply to another ball that's in that cage? So, you know, that in itself is a great lesson. And then, of course, you know, the mathematical dimensions of the cage and so on. So I applaud you, Paul, because bringing that here brings another way to make math and science more tangible for students. So.
And the hands-on, because these things are going to bang together. So you're going to have to fix and repair and get them back in the air and improvise and adapt, especially when you're in the middle of a competition. It's like, how do we keep these in the air so we still have a chance? Like, and that plays into the drone delivery and the fact that we're going to have a manufacturing company right here in this state, and who's going to manufacture and get those jobs. It's our students, right? So if is there any other thoughts you had, Jeff? The only thing I had to mention was our prospective dates for the tournament. And then I was just going to cut loose.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to help any way you can. And oh, Paul, don't dance, please. Paul, don't do it. Don't do it, Paul.
Okay.
That's all I had. If we can help any way, ladies and gentlemen, please let us know. Reach out to us directly. We'll be glad to connect with you one-on-one. And I'm really happy to see this participation that we have. We have some familiar names and some new names, but hey, we're gonna do great things. So thank you everybody for attending.
And we are motivated. This, like I said, when we first jumped on and I saw the participation level, I think our mini hiatus kind of got people like, you know, where did this duo go? Where did this Jeff and Paul go? And what happened to, like, you know, the NCEUASC? And I would like to say that Morgan Crawford with the NCBCE is the defibrillator that reinvigorated life back into what's happening. So everybody can thank Morgan for helping us come back here in 2022. And then with that being said, so the dates that we have in mind based off some local schedules in our area is, what was it? May 9th to the 20th. So we're hoping that we can get our participating schools scheduled to compete in our tournament between the 9th and the 20th of May. And we want to give that open window so that we can hit potentially before exams, after exams, and whatever is convenient. And we are not necessarily stuck to the 9th to the 20th. If that happens to absolutely not work with any specific member's schedule, we will work with you to make that happen. So again, the tournament will be structured very similarly to last year. We're going to continue to go forward and do what we've been doing. And we're really excited about the opportunity to just continue to grow and develop and then have these in-person events, which, you know, hopefully maybe could be happening this summer. And if not, definitely something that will be happening for this group of educators. So that's really all I had. Thank you. Just checking to make sure, follow up this year. Dronebox or DPI Hub. So I think that's one of the details, Joseph, that as we move closer, we'll continue to figure out what works best. We're seeing, rapid changes, and with Jeff talking and communicating to the folks at DJI, that's one detail. We don't know for sure yet, but either way, we will make sure that our students and teachers and coaches are well prepared for the tournament itself. So it looks like everything, just all I can say is you're welcome. Anyone who said thank you, I mean, you're welcome. And we appreciate your participation. Again, I just want to make sure we've got February 22nd at 3 p.m. is the next time we will all be meeting again as a group. This is the North Carolina Educators UAS cohort. I am Paul Rossi, and I appreciate your participation. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Morgan. Any last words, comments, thoughts? Nothing?
No,
Excellent.
I'm good. Thank you all for coming, and we will follow up. And if you have other people who want to join the cohort, please feel free just to send any of us your name and email. They'll pass it on to NCBCE. We're keeping the list, and we will add them. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Have a great evening, everybody. Until next time.